Cheers, folks. Welcome to episode 2 of the Beginner's Guide to Coil Building. Today what we're going to be doing is a twisted build. By that I mean we're going to be using 26 gauge Canthal. We're going to use 2 strands and we're going to twist it. We're going to twist it pretty tight. I'm going to use a drill and I'm going to show you at the workbench how to twist it. And what we're going to be going for is 6 wraps around a 2.5mm jig, and we're going to put it in here, and we're going to come out to about, we're looking at 0.7 ohms, I'm hoping. I'm not on that now, this is a different build I have in here, but you'll see that when I take this out. So yeah, we're going to be looking at about 0.7 ohms, and it's hopefully you'll see the difference. When we twist the wire, what we're doing is we're adding more surface area to the wire that we're using to vaporize our e-juice. The more surface area you have, the more vapor you can produce, and the more flavor it's going to have. The other great thing about twisted wire, as opposed to just straight wire, is you can run it at a higher temperature because it's actually a cooler vape. So usually you can hit it a little higher, a little hotter, and it's not going to burn your mouth, it's not going to burn your lips, the drip tip's not going to get too hot, and that's one of the things I love about twisted builds. So let's head over to the workbench and let's get this started. Alright, the star of the show for episode 2, Kangaroo Sub-Tank Mini Blacked Out Murdered Edition. What we're going to be doing on this today is 26 gauge Canthal. We're going to actually take this and we're going to twist it. We're going to make a twisted wire. I'm going to show you how to do that really quick. You'd be surprised how quick it is. And then we're going to make let's do a 6 wrap coil, and we'll mount it in our Mini, and hopefully we'll be able to vape the shit out of it. Okay, so with our RBA deck, now whether yours has been used or not, what you're going to want to do is remove the barrel cap, which is this piece here, and it just unscrews. I'm going to clean mine because it's a bloody mess. And to remove the barrel, you just want to undo this set screw about half of a turn. Half of a turn to a full turn. That's it. You don't want to remove the screw, don't take it out all the way, just loosen it so that you can pull the barrel straight off. Just going to remove my build that's in here right now. Now yours may come with a build, but you know what? You'll want to throw that out because that's not the point to building your own coil. But I mean, even if you want to leave it in and you want to practice first with wicking, that's something you can do too. Nothing wrong with that. But there's my deck. Mine's quite dirty. This actually needs to be cleaned. I don't have a sonic cleaner. I'll be honest with you. I'm cheap, and when I need to clean out my device that well, what I'll actually do is go into my local brick and mortar. They have a sonic cleaner that's there available for the public to use, which I think is a really nice thing that my local shop does. When I'm at home and I'm just between builds, usually I'll just wash it out in the sink under hot water, let it dry, and use some paper towel to finish the job. Some people tell you use a hairdryer to dry out your tank after you wash it. I wouldn't suggest that. Sometimes a hairdryer can get hot to the point of breaking your Pyrex glass, even though it's supposed to be Pyrex. The other reason I'd suggest not using the hairdryer is you tend to blow things around, so any dust or dirt that's in the air or nearby, you may end up blowing it into your tank. Not good. So, there's what we're going to build on. Let's make some twisted wire. Alright, 26 gauge Canthal. Remember, I don't need very much, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to take off 2 spots on the spool. And what I'm going to do with this wire is I'm going to take the 2 ends and I'm going to twist them together. I just want to twist them so that they become one. I'm just twisting this by hand. I just want it to be one piece. Again, anytime you cut your wire, make sure your pieces don't go flying across the room. You don't want to find them with your foot later. That's essentially how I start. See, look, it's just a simple hand twist. It doesn't need to be pretty. That's what's going to go in the chuck of your drill. I think there's some wire in there from the last time I twisted something. Look at that, there it is. Again, you don't want to find that with your foot. So here we go. We're just going to put the twist that I made in the center of the chuck and tighten it down. Like I say, you do want it in the center. If it's not perfectly centered, that's okay. This is still going to work. Then the next thing you're going to do is run your fingers down both wires just so you kind of find where the end of that is. So I've given it a fake end. And the reason is because I do want to put my pliers in there and I want to hold it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give it some tension, pull on it before squeezing the pliers closed. Now I'm going to squeeze the pliers closed. And now I'm just going to spin this until it breaks. Now, as it tightens up, the pliers are going to get pulled towards the chuck. Let that happen, but still keep tension on it, just not too much. You want it to pull in a little bit, and then as you see after it pulls in, it's going to snap right off. Here we go. Now, that didn't snap, that actually came loose. Again, this is a great noob things you're learning. I'm actually going to put this back in and I'm going to twist it some more because I want it tighter than that. I personally like my twisted wire to be rather tight. I don't want it loose. I prefer a tighter twisted build. There we go, pulling. And there it broke. And that broke for sure. I'm going to prove it to you because I'm going to undo the chuck and you'll see a piece fall out. Make a liar out of it. There it is. Take that and put it in your pile of wire to go. Now there it is. There's a nice piece of twisted Kanthal. This is 26 gauge. Hopefully that can get in focus and you can see how nicely, evenly that's twisted. You could do this by hand. It's just, as you saw, a whole lot easier using the drill. Now this time I actually want the leads to come off the top of my coil. Episode 2, you know, we're getting a little more advanced now. Twisted wire, I'm actually going to put it in my coil master and I'm going to do a counterclockwise twist, or wrap. And what I want is I want to end up with 6 wraps, so what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to do 7 wraps and then I'm going to pull 1 wrap out. Because that's how I like to do things. So here we go. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And like I say, it's because we're going to pull one out. Now this is very springy. Very springy. You're going to want to go past what you want and then rotate it. Because it's going to be very springy. But like I say, here we go. Keep it close to the base as you go to pull your extra wrap out. You want the leads going opposite directions, just like that. Like I say, twisted wire tends to be more springy, but it gives you more surface area. It will produce more vapor and a little more flavor than a standard single wire build. Again, twisted 26 gauge. Here, let me show you that so you can have a look at what that looks like. There it is. Alright, let's get our deck in. And now this time, like I said, episode 2, we are going to mount this the opposite of what you saw in episode 1. This coil is going to sit with the leads going over the top, out of the top of the coil. And that's because I'm going to want this build to be very close to the deck. I'm just going to trap one leg first, and then the other side. Remember, you will be able to move it, manipulate that coil, get it to where you want it. We just want to make sure we get a good solid connection, that we have those legs trapped, and that they're not going anywhere. I'll take my mandrel, put it into the coil, begin lifting and twisting so that it's not touching the deck. And if I can show you this even before I trim it up, you'll see how sexy that is and what that looks like. See that? Actually touching the deck. You see how there's space in there? And the leads come off the top of the coil. It's more efficient. The leads are shorter than when if they had came off the bottom of the coil. So I'm going to trim this up now. Again, you want it cantle, you want to hold the end, you don't want that flying across the floor. Even twisted wire will find a way to get into your foot and cause you a shitload of pain. So there we go, we're going to put it on. Actually, I'm going to put this one, just for shits and giggles, I'm going to use my 40-watt temperature control mod. This will give an actually better reading for the resistance. The reader in here is more accurate than my other eye stick. And I don't have my own meter here. So we're going to put this in power mode. I'm going to knock the wattage. It was at 30. I'm going to knock it down to about 20. And I'm just going to pulse this. I just want to, you'll see smoke starting to come off of it. I just want to get the hot spots out. I'm going to use ceramic tweezers. Now there you see how there's that hot spot? It goes right across the center. As the electricity comes, it fires right across the top of the coil. We don't want that. We want this coil to glow evenly from the inside to the out. And by the time we're done this, that's what we're going to have. Now, it's looking pretty good already. I mean, it's nowhere near where we want it to be, but I'd say it's looking pretty good as a start. Now the first thing is I'm going to move it a little bit, twist it a little bit so it's in there straight, so that when my cotton comes out through it, it has more likely to hit the juice well holes. And here we go. Like I say, I'm just going to be pulsing this. Now again, there's still lots of hot spots. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to strum the coil. I'm just going to use a flat tip screwdriver, and I'm just going to strum those wraps. I'm just going to strum that coil. Now let's fire it again. What you're actually doing is putting actually a little bit of space between each wrap. And if done correctly, you should end up with something that looks like this. And here, it heats up from the center to the outside. And that's what you want. And as it cools, it goes back to the center. That's what you want when glowing a coil, a Canthal coil. That means there's no hot spots, it's heating up correctly, and it's going to give you a good vape. Awesome. Make sure you let it cool before you wick it. The last thing you want to do is have it hot, either burn your fingers or put your cotton in and have it singe your cotton right away. That's not a good thing. I'm using cotton bacon. I'm just going to put a little bit of a twist on this at the tip, put it through my coil, pull my cotton through, and again, as I pull it, I'm twisting this side to kind of relieve the tension so that I don't pull the coil out of whack. And what I want is I want it in there, and I want it tight, but not too tight. I want to be able to move it, but I don't want it to move a whole lot. Now with this piece, I'm actually going to just line it up so I only have to trim one side. That looks good for that side. And now I'm just going to trim up one side of this cotton. And essentially fluff up the ends a little bit, sometimes called a pancake wick. And that's what you kind of want it to look like. And then we're going to fit the barrel back over it. Again, line up your notch. If you've watched the other videos, you've seen this. You want to line up your notch to where your set screw is on the barrel. I start by putting one side in, and then I use my thumb to push up the other side, put the barrel over, and I want to make sure I stuff all that cotton. I don't want cotton coming down and getting caught in the threads of the deck or any place that I don't want cotton to be. So, and yes, you are working with some very kind of short pieces of cotton here. They're not very long. Some people will tell you, oh, have it come out through the top and then trim it. And that, nah, you don't need to do that. Be efficient. Just cut it to where it's supposed to be. And get the cap back on, the barrel. And you're going to tighten down the set screw so that the barrel is not going anywhere. Use your screwdriver, a flat tip screwdriver, or whatever you have, or a piece of Canthal, and you just want to make sure that the cotton inside is covering those juice holes. That's what you want. You want it covering the juice holes, because if it's not covering those juice holes, you could get some leaking, and you don't want that. From the juice holes from the outside, you should see the cotton. You shouldn't see any space. The cotton should more or less completely fill the hole. Let's see if we can get this in focus and show you what that looks like. There's my twisted build with the cotton. I'll show you the outside. There's my cotton in the juice hole. Turn it, then you can see the other side, same thing. Nice. Now what we're going to do is we are going to juice this up. We're going to prime it. I'm just going to put a drop from the outside and let it soak into that cotton that's at the hole on the barrel. There we go. And I'm going to do the same on the other side. Just like one drop. Just so that I can see, I get that flow started. And then I'm going to prime it again from the inside, a few drops, one on each side. And I'm going to paint the coil a little bit. You don't want to just dump a whack of juice in there because you'll end up just flooding it. It'll sit in your airflow. When you go to take a hit, your first hit will be all gurgly and shitty, and or could leak out your air adjustment ring. You don't want any of that. Things to avoid for a noob. Alright, so I've got it primed. It's looking good. I'm going to put my barrel cap back on. Careful not to cross thread that. Everything's tight. I will fill up my tank. It is low on juice. Quick shout out to vapemeat.ca. They are my local vape shop, and this is one of their house brands. It's Toronto Juice Company, and this is called OMC, and that stands for Oh My Custard, because this is just a wonderful, wonderful custard. I'm vaping this in a 3-nic, and it is I believe it's 6535. Okay, tanked up. This build, according to this device, is coming in at 0.65 ohms, so close to 0.7. I am going to turn it up to 24 watts to hit it. Another good tip, let's put the drip tip back on. One good tip, take your fingers, cover the airflow, and just give a dry pull. Don't hit the button. What you're doing is helping to get that juice flowing into the cotton from the tank and up into your wick. The flavor on that is superb, superb. I mean, when you compare say a 26 gauge single wire wrap microcoil to Twisted's going to give you a lot more flavor and a lot more vapor. There's just more surface area. You know, you can essentially vaporize more e-juice with each hit, thus giving you more flavor and more vapor. Anyway, let's go over to the lounge. We'll wrap this up. We'll talk about our twisted 26 gauge build for our Kanger Sub-Tank Mini, and we'll wrap this one up. Cheers. That, folks, is the 26 gauge twisted build for the Kanger Sub-Tank Mini, and as this series would suggest,
that was easy.
Cheers, welcome back to the lounge. Hopefully you didn't find that too boring. Hopefully you found that interesting, and if you've never used twisted wire before, or never twisted a wire before, hopefully you saw how easy that was and understand it. That truly is really easy. And if you just started building your own coils and you've just been doing, you know, straight 24, 26 gauge wraps, that kind of thing, hopefully you watch this and you understand that, you know, really going from straight wire to twisted wire is really going to step up your game, you know, that much when it comes to building your own coils and producing some really nice flavor and vapor. Especially in, you know, tanks. These Kanger Sub-Tank Minis, these are great flavor tanks. You know, they really are. And, you know, that's the other side of it. You put a good build in it, and, you know, that curve, that exponential curve starts going way up, you know, when you start building your own coils. So, like I said, 26 gauge, 2 strands twisted together, very tight. 6 wraps around a 2.5mm jig, mounted, wick, again using my, what I call a hourglass wick. People call it pancake wick, I guess that's what it is, but to me it looks like an hourglass. And you know, it's coming in at 0.7 ohms, which is really nice. And like I say, with the twisted wire, we can run this a little higher. On our other build, we went up as high as 30 watts. This one, let's try this at 30 right now. If I would say that the, you know, the other build, the episode 1 build, say had a flavor of about a 6, this has a flavor of about an 8. It's a lot nicer. Oh, not a lot. It's nicer. Produces a little bit more vapor. But for me, the way I like to vape is I don't like it hot. In fact, every drip tip you ever see on any of my devices, you'll notice it's a little bit longer than most of them. I usually add a piece, a little adapter or something in between to take my lips, you know, further from the action. I don't want a hot vape. I like a warm vape. I like nice, warm, vapory, juicy goodness. But I don't like it hot. I don't like it burning my lips. I don't like it burning my mouth. I don't like spitting, hot juice spitting shooting into the back of my throat. I don't like any of that. So any of the builds that you see me do, they're going to be, let's call them vapor-friendly builds. They're not going to be aggressive builds. They're not going to be these types of things that you see guys with mech mods that they push a button and the fucking thing starts exploding with vapor. Those are going to be the kind of things that are hot. And you get into more dangerous builds with regards to battery and Ohm's law and stuff. But again, so if you followed this video, you should find that you're getting a really good vape off of this build. And remember, the premise was
That was easy.
and that's what we're going for with this series of videos. We just want to make sure to keep everything kind of simple, keep it easy, let you progress, through the series of videos. You'll learn a bit more, you'll get more experience. You have to have a little patience when you're learning to build. Nobody's going to go jump out of the gate and be perfect at this. There's a learning curve, But ultimately, if you follow the video, you follow the advice that I give you, and you're going to start producing some really cool coils, and you're going to really enjoy the vape that you're getting from them. And ultimately, it's all about not smoking. So whatever keeps you off the cigarettes is a good vape. That's my opinion. Anyway, let me hit this a few times and we can check this out. I have it at 30 watts right now. Now with this build, I don't really want to put it maybe higher than, say, 35. I don't like the vape at high wattages. 35 watts. Let's give this a shot. It's amazing the flavor change between, say, 25 watts and 30 watts, and 30 watts and 35 watts. You can feel the flavor increasing with just those, that amount of change. And like I say, with the twisted build, it doesn't get that hot. It's pretty friendly, That's a really nice flavor right there. Anyway, don't forget to like and subscribe, and stay tuned. Episode 3 is going to be coming up real soon. Give you a heads up, episode 3 is going to be putting your first spaced nickel coil inside of a Kanger sub-tank mini. I know that temperature control isn't for everybody, but you know what? I'm a noob. I was a noob. I was a noob? Yeah, I'd say I was a noob. I'm not a noob anymore. My name's Noob, but I'm not a noob. Some of the people at myvapeporn.net have pointed that out to me, that I actually should change my name, because I'm not a noob. But it is my name. My YouTube name. But this is producing a really great vapor. It's really easy to do. And, I wish you all the best, all the luck. And like I say, like and subscribe if this was of any use to you whatsoever. And, again, we want to keep it easy.
That was easy.
Cheers. See you at the next video.